Hey Cardfighters, Chris here from Vanguard Central, bringing you a great nature deck focused around the Legion Guru Tiger. So our starter is Blackboard Parrot. His skill is you can move him into the soul and give one of your rear guards the effect when it's put into the drop zone at the end of turn. Then you get to draw a card. So it just changes itself out without much cost. It's really good for setting up some early combos to net you cards in hand because it doesn't require any counterblast. So your main boss is Fervent Professor Guru Tiger. He has two skills. The first is an on attack. You get to choose one of your units and give it plus 4,000, but then the unit that you chose dies at the end of the turn. This is okay because there's a lot of combos in the deck which synergize with things being put into the drop zone at the end of turn. For example, his Legion skill, which is you discard a copy of a card unit on your Vanguard. So Persona Blast kind of effect, so either Crude Tiger or his mate, and you get to choose two of your units, and they gain this skill during your end phase when they're put into the drop zone. You can call them back to rear guard, draw a card, and unflip a damage. So you're going to get extra cards without losing the unit because you get to call it straight back from the drop zone. The backup boss, well, Break Ride, is going to be Honorary Professor Chatnar. His first skill just gives a little power boost when he attacks Vanguard. It's just plus 2,000, not super important in this deck. And the main skill we focus on is the Limit Break 4, which is a Break Ride effect. So when you ride him at Limit Break 4, your Vanguard's going to get plus 10,000, and the effect when your rear guard attacks Vanguard, then you can choose any one of your units and give that unit plus 4,000, and at the end of the turn you're going to retire that unit and draw a card. We only run 3 because we're not trying to ride this card all the time. It's just in case you're being rushed, and mainly just use it as stride fodder as we're going to primarily focus on riding Guru Tiger. So the reason we only ran 3 is to make room for some extra grade 2s, which is 4 of Guru Tiger's mate, Guru Wolf. His skill is when he's on rearguard and his attack hits Vanguard. If your power is over 2,000, or 2,000 or more, then you get to draw a card. This includes boost, so it's not actually that hard to hit. You just gotta have a 7k booster and 1 plus 4,000 buff. But you don't use this skill that often, and a lot of times it's better to save it in hand for the Persona Blast effect, just to get some more cards in hand. Next, we have 4 Binoculars Tiger. This card's a little bit old and people say he might be outclassed by Sleepy Tapir, who has resist, but it's important that his on attack effect when he attacks Vanguard, you can choose one of your units and give it plus 4,000, and then at the end of the turn you retire the unit you chose. Unlike Tapir though, his effect is usable on Vanguard, which means you don't need to draw more than 1 grade 2 to get some early combos off with retiring and whatnot. So keeping in mind the focus on early game combos, we are also running 4 Sleepy Tapir along with Binoculars Tiger just to get some high numbers, which will push your opponent to high damage early and get those combos off to draw cards with Blackboard Parrot and Coiling Duckbill, which I'll talk about soon. It's also, resist is really important if you're playing against certain decks like Narukami, trying to retire your front row. This can really help out against them, especially some things like Link Joker. They're going to shut you down in all your combos. They can't target him. So next is going to be the grade 1s. We're running 4 perfect guards. We're not running the unflipping ones because while you can counterblast some in this deck, Guru Tiger is going to handle that by unflipping a ton, and you really don't end up using much counterblast, and it's basically open the whole time. So running their normal perfect guards gives us the added benefit of being able to guard the rear guards that can be really important sometimes if you need to make a super power push the next turn. Next is everyone's favorite Coiling Duckbill. His skill is when you place him on rear guard during your main phase, then you can give another unit the skill, which is during your end phase when it's put into the drop zone you draw a card. So just like Blackboard Parrot, except you don't have to move it into the soul. So when you combine this with Blackboard Parrot or any cards that either call back to the rear guard with Crude Tiger's effect or search for copies of himself, you're going to get some extra cards for free. So he's a mandatory 4 of in this type of deck. And then we have 4 Pencil Squire Hamskate. His skill is when he's put into the drop zone during the end phase, you get a counterblast 1 and search your deck for another copy of Hamskate and put him into your hand. And this is really where all the combos come together, because you want to put all your plus 4,000 buffing skills on Hamskate, and then at the end of the turn, he'll go to the drop zone, you'll draw cards from Duckbill, from Crude Tiger, from Parrot, and then you get a just counterblast 1 and replace him by putting another one in your hand, and be ready for next turn with a bunch of shield. So the last 2 grade 1s we run are 2 Balloon Raccoons, and Balloon Raccoon functions as copies 5 and 6 of Hamskate. So his skill is during your end phase, when he's put into the drop zone, you can counterblast 1, and you move him to the bind zone. And then he has another effect that if he's in the bind zone, you can guard with him, and he'll get plus 5,000 shield. So he acts as a 10,000 shield from the bind zone. So you're technically getting a little bit of an extra card there. And again, it's just copies 5 and 6 of Hamskate to make your combos more consistent. And then for triggers, we have 8 critical, 4 of them being Ruler Chameleon, which you don't usually use that often. For combo effects, has the same skill as Hamskate, being when you retire at the end phase, then you get a counterblast 1 and search for a copy of it. But it can be good if you really need those combos to go off to get some cards back in your hand, get that early advantage going, and you haven't drawn a Hamskate or a Balloon Raccoon. So after 8 crit, we have 4 draw. We're using Castanet Donkey just because it has a little extra skill, which is when you put into the soul, you can give one of your units plus 3,000, which can really help you hit some key numbers if you really need to. But the main reason we're running 4 draws and not 4 extra crits or 4 stands is because this is a very combo-centric version of Great Nature, where we want to get cards that buff our units and then retire them. We want to get cards like Hamskate, which allow us to keep our same card count when we retire things, and we want to have cards like Duckbill, which are going to draw us cards when we retire units. So by having the 4 draw, it helps us get those pieces a little bit easier, and you can also get him through a draw trigger. So you check him, then you draw a card off of him, and then you can use him to retire just in case. So it's a really nice addition to the deck, and not having to rely on just getting your combos going by luck, and then having those 12 crits. And then lastly, obviously, we're going to run 4 heals. Moving to the G zone, it's not exactly what you would say complete. It's only 6 cards, but that's really been fine. It's working really well for me. We're running 4 of the Immortal Professor Phoenix guy. His skill is like a double Binoculars Tiger. When you attack Vanguard, then you get to choose up to 2 of your units, so you don't have to choose 2. And you give each of those units plus 4,000, and then you retire them at the end of the turn. This is the main stride we're going to use for the deck when you do stride, and that's because we have cards like Hamskate to replenish the cards in your hand, and just helps being another enabler setting off those combos for drawing cards. And then the other 2 strides we're using are 2 Snow Elemental Blizzas, and that's just to use if you've been striding a lot in the game, then you can use them to hit high numbers. And the last 2 strides probably would go to Managmar, but we don't really have those right now, and the deck has been honestly running perfectly fine without them, and so I feel no need to get them. So just let us know what you think of the deck. Comment down below, make sure to subscribe, and stay tuned. Vanguard Central out.